there are a couple teams that it feels like either don't get the credit that they deserve on a year-to-year basis or are looking to kind of hit the restart button. And two of those go head-to-head week one here. That's Thursday. Nebraska is at Minnesota. And I feel like Minnesota doesn't get credit for being as consistently good as they've been under PJ Fleck. I think Nebraska, Matt Rhule, first year, we've discussed this. The Matt Rhule process is exactly that. It is a process. And if anybody thinks it's going to happen year one, I think you're probably a little misguided. But he's proven that he's capable of doing this at multiple places. He's proven that he's capable of leading young men and really maturing young men, because that's what I've heard about Matt Rhule is it's how he holds everybody accountable within a program, and certainly the kids. But it's almost two programs that are in very different spots for different reasons. One's for a model of consistency, and one's for trying to get back to where they were.
No, let me tell you this story real quick before I comment more about Matt and Nebraska. Talk about holding people accountable. He holds his coaches accountable too. I was out there in the spring, and I went to a practice, and they were having a live goal line scrimmage in the spring. And the offense ended up scoring on a play. It was like a little end around, and the running back / receiver stuck the ball out before, right as he was crossing the goal line. And Matt went off. Obviously, this was something they had talked about previous to that. And he made not only the whole offense, but all the offensive coaches line up on the sideline and run over and backs as payment for bad ball security on the goal line. So he holds everybody accountable, himself included. Look, Nebraska is one of those great places in college football. I had the privilege when I was at Penn State. We had a series with Nebraska, and I played out there my junior year in 1981. And it is an incredible place for college football, one of the best fan bases anywhere. And even when they've struggled, they still sell out that stadium, and everybody's dressed in red. 6 years, it's almost hard for me to imagine they have not had a winning record or been to a bowl game in 6 years. Crazy. I think that changes. I think they win enough to play in a bowl game this year in Matt's first year. I think that they will be that much improved. I think they'll have a toughness about them, an ability to run the football, and their quarterback, another transfer quarterback, they're all over, particularly the Big Ten West. But Jeff Sims comes after having a very productive career at Georgia Tech. He's a dual threat guy, a big, strong kid. And I think that Nebraska will make a dramatic turnaround. But, I don't think they can contend for the West in year one, but I do think they can be a bowl team. Now, this is a bad draw for Matt Rhule to play at Minnesota in week one, because you're right. PJ Fleck's team has been one of the more consistent teams that nobody talks about over the last few years. Now, they've got to break in a new quarterback. Their quarterback, Tanner Morgan, seemed like he was there 8 years, right? So they got to break in a new quarterback, a new running back. But they've got a culture there and a system there that works. It doesn't fit for everybody. Not every kid could go there and thrive, but the kids that choose to go there and understand what kind of a culture they're going into, they've got something special there. And PJ Fleck, you may not agree with all his sayings and mottos and mantras and all that, but the guy can coach. And, he was good before he got to Minnesota. He's been good there. And so that's a tough draw for Nebraska opening up on the road up in Minneapolis.
No, dude just gets results. And that's, again, to your point, there's a lot of things that maybe a lot of people disagree with. You have to at least look at the sheet, look at the records, and say, okay, I can respect that. By the way, I'll just say this as an aside, because you mentioned Tanner Morgan, and obviously we're talking about Sam Hartman. This is probably the last year of like the super.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
But that's what I was.
It has to be, right?
I think so. But here's what I was about to say, though, Todd. And I mean, you can refute this, but part of me kind of likes it because we know these guys. Tanner Mordecai is another example. We know these guys who can play. We know that they're experienced, especially at the quarterback position. You know that you're getting high-level quarterback play, and it's helping to at least maybe in theory, it's helping that next generation to kind of make the transition a little bit easier. I agree with you. I think it's insane that we have, Stetson Bennett last year at 25 years old getting drafted, and he's older than like half the starting quarterbacks in
Right.
the NFL who have been there for 3 years. I did the Chargers Rams preseason game, and Stetson Bennett is older than Justin Herbert, who just signed his second contract in the NFL.
So
he was a teammate with Sony Michel, who's already retired from the NFL. Like, that's insane. I agree with that. But part of me likes the Van Wilder fact of these kids still being there and enjoying whatever college classes they get to take. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, and here's what I do like about it. Okay. Now Stetson Bennett was good enough to get drafted, whatever. So, some of these guys, I think it's kind of cool that a quarterback like a Tanner Mordecai, who may not translate to certainly not a high NFL pick, might be able to make a roster. But nowadays with NIL, you can stick around and play another year or two in college and make some pretty good coin right through NIL. And rather than taking a chance of maybe making a team as a free agent or maybe not making it and being on a practice, certainly going to make more than being on a practice squad somewhere in the NFL. So in that respect, I do kind of like it for guys.